Howdy. Today we're looking at the Basmu. It is a sentient weapon that dropped with one of the big events they had several years ago. Actually, it's been quite a while. Damn, now I think it's been like 5 years since Basmu came out. 4 or 5 years, it's been a while. Well, Basmu is a very interesting weapon. It's got two different fire modes. The primary fire, which is basically just an assault rifle, sort of, and the alt fire that shoots twin lasers that chain between enemies. And the stats are pretty interesting, so let's look at that. Now, the base damage on the first attack, right, the normal firing mode, is electric, and it does have slight AoE, though not enough to really be worth much, though the AoE does heat damage. The alt fire does electric damage as well, and no AoE. So it's got a 12 fire rate, 21 shots on the mag, 15% crit chance, 2.0 multiplier, 29% status, and 39 electric damage. The fall off being 1.7 range, the AoE has 1.7 range, 19 heat, and 20% fall off. The alt fire is same fire rate, 12, multi-shot of 2, because it's 2 lasers, same mag, obviously. 2% crit chance, which is horrible, but a 4.8 crit multiplier base, so flat crit would be insanely good to pair with it. Status of 30% per projectile and 12 electric damage. Now you can go for two different sort of fire modes on builds on the weapon. One of the two fire modes. Now, if you're gonna go for the primary fire mode, I would say, despite the low crit chance, I think it is still worth using a critical mod for crit chance. But if you're going to build for the alt fire, then you're not going to benefit enough from the crit chance to actually have it be worth it. Though, if you are going to build it for alt fire, crit damaging and flat crit is worth it. And that is where Arcane Avenger comes into play. 45% crit chance. Flat crit is going to massively boost our damage. Now this build here you can use it in both fire modes actually, but we're mostly targeting the alt fire. We have Merciless because the reload speed's nice and it's the easiest to keep the stacks up on since we can't really get headshots. You can't headshot with the beam because it like automatically latches on enemies. We do have Galvanized Aptitude here because I believe it's multiplicative on the weapon. I swear it is. I can double check real quick. But regardless, even if it's not multiplicative, it is still going to give you a very nice damage increase. And I don't think it's not worth having. That's a very weird way to word. I think it's very much worth having, right? Yes, the Basmu primary fire is multiplicative, though the alt fire is not. The alt fire is additive, I think. Either way, it's still going to be a huge damage increase, and that status chance is going to make it so you can get more statuses on the alt fire. We have Heat Corrosive, and this weapon, Basmu is the kind of weapon that really can't perform well on its own. I mean, it can, but it excels when given help from other sources. Now, we don't have our stacks built up yet, so our damage is definitely going to be lacking. I know there's that special AoE. I'll explain that in a second. I'll explain it now. So every time you reload, oh yeah, it's a charge weapon, right? So you shoot, stop shooting, recharge the ammo. But if the mag empties, it does 2 pulses, and it pulls in health from the enemy, healing you. So you can use this weapon as a sort of utility weapon to heal yourself, and it could pair nicely with a Naros, I guess. But we're going to be pairing it with Chroma, and I'll explain why we're on Chroma in a minute. But right now, I just want to... I think that's enough stacks that you will be able to see our damage now. So as you can see, it's nothing amazing, to say the least. I mean, it's not the worst weapon in the game. The alt fire without crit is just rather pathetic. However, like I said, Arcane Avenger exists. So, if we have the enemies attack us, that's going to massively buff our damage. And while I don't care for Nourish in general, it is pretty huge here to add Viral onto the weapon. And it's an easy thing to subsume onto Chroma. And that's before we take into account the other buffs, which again I'll explain here in a second. So simulate the enemies, add Viral into the mix, Arcane Avengers procced. Now the enemies are going to melt like butter, or at least after we get Condition Overload, or sorry, Gun Condition Overload procced. I don't know if you've noticed, but the amount of enemies you can chain to with the alt fire is a very, very large number of enemies. I don't even know what the cap is on it, but I swear sometimes it feels like I'm hitting 8 enemies at once, which is kind of insane. Look at this damage. Oh wait, I can't get headshots, so it doesn't matter. Once the heat builds up and it kicks in, I don't know if you saw, it wasn't doing a whole lot, and then the heat like kicked in and just melted the enemy entirely. Like that. Beautiful, because it's a beam weapon with such decent status chance. Now the reason we're going to be using Chroma is because, first of all, I love Chroma, and he does not get enough recognition for how insanely good he is. And also because he fixes 2 of the big problems. Reload speed is kind of an issue here, because we run out of ammo so often. And if we're using Toxin on Chroma, we can get 154% reload speed right now. That's quite good, to say the least. Then with Vex armor, we also get a damage buff. Now, Chroma's damage buff is multiplicative on any weapon that has multiplicative gun CO, and it's additive on any weapon with additive gun CO. So it's going to be multiplicative on at least the primary fire on Basmu. And it's going to give us some very, very big PP damage. Plus, and if you're not doing level cap stuff, which most people aren't, you can be extremely tanky with Chroma this way, because we get tons of armor from Vex armor. We have Arcane Grace. You don't need this. You could go something like Arcane Guardian instead, or Arcane Blessing for more HP. Arcane Blessing is actually really easy to get. That's a good alternative. So we have a ton of armor, a ton of HP. We can heal via Guardian armor, take damage from our teammates, so our teammates are tankier. And with Basmu, we're going to heal every time it does the reload. So you can see it's kind of annoying, but if we cast a Toxin, it's not nearly as bad now. And so then we can get lots and lots of healing. Simulate the enemies. Cast Vex armor. Cast Viral. We're going to need to build up our stacks, but once we get our stacks going, it's going to be amazing. And because Basmu chains to so many enemies, because we just send our damage through the roof, it skyrockets, we can get a ton of AoE very easily. I quite like this weapon. I honestly would like it if it was better. I think the Ribbon's Dispo is like 2, 3. I don't remember. I'll actually have to check. I swear it was really low. I could be wrong though. Maybe they changed it. But this weapon could benefit from a Ribbon very much so. I'm sure there's better ways to build this weapon than I'm showing right now. There's probably going to be someone in the comments that's like, actually, which is totally fine. If there's a better way, let me know. Let everybody know of its incredible power. Oh yeah, I also want to show with the primary fire now, because it's going to be multiplicative, which is very epic. Oh yes. Look at that. They don't stand a chance. How many shots? 1, 2, 3, 4? Like 4 shots to kill him? I think that's pretty good. And this is with Merciless. If you're using the primary fire and you don't have like a slash build or something, I would actually recommend going Deadhead, because it's easier to keep up and it will give you more damage because of the headshot multiplier that it gives. The 30% more damage from headshot. Now, we only get 45% from Arcane Avenger, which puts us at 47% crit chance. You can actually add in a Darza Kavats, which is a cat very few people use. It has Cat's Eye, which makes it so that every now and then, right, 20-second cooldown and you get 10 seconds uptime when it procs. It'll give you 60% flat crit to you and allies, to your weapons. Now, the cooldown doesn't start till it ends, so it only has 33% uptime, right? Like it's active for 10 seconds and then it's down for 20 seconds. but it's still pretty good, I'd say. So now I want to show it with that, because once that procs, our crit chance is going to be over 100%. Ah yes, look at that. Now that is some insane damage. It's quite beautiful, to say the least. Now we have to wait for Cat's Eye to come back though, which is sad. Big sad face, but when you do have it proc, you're going to be doing a lots of damage. A metric cat's ton. Family friendly words. Hang on, I want with it built up stacks right from the get-go. Come on, give me Cat's Eye, give me Cat's Eye. Do it, cat! There we go. Beautiful, that's more like it. I mean, what more can you ask for? This thing is fun, it's got utility to heal you, and it pairs nicely with Chroma. I'm actually going to do a Chroma video after this one, I think. We'll see, we'll see. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. This is actually a rather low quality video in comparison to the other ones. I don't know what happened here, but I didn't show any other sort of builds. I think Heat Corrosive is a very nice way of using it. It has such high status that you're honestly wasting procs by having Corrosive, but you really want Viral, and you really want Armor Strip. So not having those is kind of a pain. We don't want to just go all in on heats. I suppose it could change after Jade Shadows, but I don't know. I think Basmu's in a kind of a tough spot as far as that goes, because you really need a lot of different things to make it shine, and you can't do that with the gun itself, not a base. But you can fix that with your build, which is why I'm on Chroma and have the cast. That's pretty much it for the Basmu though. If you liked the video, then subscribe. Adios.